Welcome to Mama's Ashram, where wisdom flows, bridging east and west, the spirit grows. Voices of the ancients, stories to share. In the dance of thoughts we find our prayer.
Welcome to Mama's Ashram, and very happy Adi Śaṅkara Jayantī. So Adi Shankaracharya was the greatest Hindu philosopher, in my opinion, to ever exist, because he revived Hinduism as we know today. Hinduism, again, this is something that I like to put in almost every episode that we do on Hinduism, that Hinduism is not a religion. In fact, Hinduism is not even the name of the culture or the so-called religion. Hinduism is just a geographical term. Like the culture was called Sanatana Dharma, where Sanatana means eternal and Dharma means responsibility. And the eternal responsibility is to know thyself, to know yourself. Who am I? So this philosopher, Adi Shankaracharya, when Hinduism was declining and there was a dominance of Buddhism and Charvak and Jainism, which are the Gnostic philosophies, or the philosophies that do not believe in the authority of the Vedas, when they were on the rise in India, in this geography, in this subcontinent of Bharat, India, that's when this guy comes in and revives the Vedas, revives the Upanishads and the Vedic culture, right? And gives us the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. He doesn't really invent this philosophy, create this philosophy, he just revives it, because the philosophy is already present in the Vedas, right? But it was being lost. How we already lost a lot of the Vedas. A lot of content of the Vedas. The situation was similar back then, but then this guy brought it back. Right? How we're gonna read it? So this guy came into picture in 800 BC, so 8th century BCE, to infinity, because I believe that enlightened beings never really die. Right? But I'm still gonna tell you that when he really left his body, again, there's a lot of debate if he ever left his body or he just vanished into thin air. We're gonna get into that and his life story in the following presentation. Let's go. Yeah, so Adi Shankaracharya was born in Kālaḍi in Kerala, which is in the south of India, extreme south of India, around 800 BC. And his parents were Shivaguru and Aryamba, or Aryambal, some call her. Shivaguru was the father, Aryamba was the mother. And they were devout Nambudiri Brahmins. Nambudiri Brahmins were Malayali Brahmins. Malayali Brahmins are Keralite Brahmins. But Malayali is a Dravidian language, and Brahmins are, Sanskrit is a Aryan language. So these were combination Malayali Brahmins. Nambudiri. They belong to Kerala. Okay. So, and Adi Shankaracharya was born on the 5th day of the Vesak month of the Hindu calendar, which is somewhere around May or June of the Gregorian calendar. Today is his birthday, according to the Gregorian calendar. It's the 5th of May, 2025, which is also the 5th of Vesak. I'm sorry, it's the 2nd of May, 2025. I'm sorry, 2nd of May, 2025. And it is also the 5th day of Vesak month of the Hindu calendar. He was extremely intelligent, of course. When I say he was my favorite philosopher of the Occident and the Orient, I mean, among all philosophers of the Occident and the Orient of all time, he's my favorite. And extremely intelligent and extremely detached. I'm not sure if that's how you spell detached or whatever. And very dispassionate. Vairagya. He was a Vairagi since childhood. Vairagya is non-attachment. So he was very unattached, detached with everything. since childhood. Getting deeper. So, since he was a Varagi since childhood, this is a story from when he was 8 years old. Uh, he After his father passed away, uh, he wanted to become uh, a sannyasi or a renunciate. He wanted to renounce the world and go become a full-time philosopher and on the search for truth and the spiritual journey, right? He wanted to leave everything behind and become a sannyasi. But his mother did not allow him, did not give him the permission because she was, of course, very attached to him because he was his son, her son. Um, so she never gave him the permission. And it is usually, a custom to seek permission from the elders of the family before you become a sannyasi. And if there's no consent, you can't become a sannyasi. So she didn't give him the consent. So one day, what happened was this guy, Adi Shankaracharya, his name was Shankar before he became an acharya. Acharya is somebody who teaches you from his acharan. So acharan is behavior. So learning from behavior, my practical. So you see me how I behave practically in my daily life, and you learn from that rather than um, taking notes as a scholar from a scholar, right? So right now he's just um, Shankar. So Shankar was in the river. The river was called is called Purna River. Purna River, which is again in the south where he was from. And suddenly a crocodile comes in. Crocodile or alligator, different stories. A crocodile, we'll say, and grabs him, grabs his foot, Shankara's foot, and his mother is watching. And then Shankara suddenly says, Shankara shouts to his mother that, "Mom, please allow me to become renunciate now in my dying moment. Since a crocodile has grabbed me, I'm done for. Right? I'm a dead man. So at least now, when I'm dying, let this be my dying wish. Let me be a renunciate, a sannyasi." And she has no choice, right? Because she's shocked. She's shocked, and she said, "Okay, yeah." And then the crocodile leaves him. Okay, so there are different stories, different theories about who the crocodile was. Some say he was Lord Shiva himself. Some say the crocodile was his guru. That he's gonna meet him. That he's gonna meet. Shankar is gonna meet in the future. His name was Govindapad. Uh, but the more popular story is that he was Shiva himself. So now her mother is even more disappointed. She's happy that her son's life is spared. He's alive. But she's really disappointed because now he'll be a renunciate. And in this culture, when you become a renunciate, a sannyasi, you have to cut all ties, all family ties, all attachments, everything. Start a new life, basically. Uh, now, yeah, now he becomes a renunciate. But there's also an esoteric symbolism that I found in the story, is that the crocodile can be compared with samsara, or the grip of samsara. His grip is the grip of samsara. What is samsara? Samsara is this cyclical worldly life. This uh, so if Maya is the thread, samsara is the cloth. Maya is illusion. Samsara is a cloth made from the thread of Maya. That is the crocodile. And the river is the flow of life, right? Or the material world. That is self-explanatory. And Shankara's escape is liberation, enlightenment. And then Shiva is in disguise, if we believe that it was Shiva as a crocodile, Shiva in disguise is Leela. What is Leela? Play. Leela can be translated as play, play of the divine. So how the world came into being according to the Upanishads was through Leela. It is just just for the entertainment of God or the Brahman. So this is also Leela, Shiva coming in disguise. This can also be seen as a divine grace, right? Because if there is no divine grace, then the samsara eats you. The crocodile takes you away, eats you, rips you apart. Nirvāṇaṣatakam is a song or a composition uh, of verses written by Adi Shankaracharya. So when Adi Shankaracharya met his guru Govindapad at the age of 8, after he left his family, right? He walked from south all the way to the north, south of India to the north of India, and a lot more that I'm gonna tell you later. But trust me, that's a long walk. Maybe see the map of India if you haven't, and see the extreme south and the extreme north. He walked that distance, trying to find a guru. And when he met him, Govindapad, he was already, Adi Shankaracharya was already Atmanani, Atmagyani, as we say in Hindi, Atmanani in Sanskrit pronunciation, Nani, self-realized person. Govindapad asked Adi Shankaracharya, "Who are you?" And this 8-year boy, Adi Shankaracharya, replied with a song that he wrote on the spot. And the song is called Nirvāṇaṣatakam. Nirvāṇaṣatakam. Nirvāna is enlightenment, right? Moksha. And Shatkam is Shat is 6, and Shatkam is 6 verses, right? So 6 verses of enlightenment. He sang on the spot. Nirvāṇaṣatakam is a beautiful, beautiful song, beautiful composition, very popular in India. Do give it a listen. It's beautiful. Check out the meanings also, of course. I am not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the ego. Beautiful, beautiful. Right. Moving forward. This is how he replies to his guru's question. Who are you? 8-year-old boy. Yeah. He wrote bhashyas, commentaries on the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra. So these 3 are the major sources, you can say, to get the essence of the Vedas from, the knowledge of the Vedas from. It is also called Prasthanatraya. Prasthanatraya. So Prasthan is welcome, and Traya 3. So welcoming the knowledge of the Vedas through 3 sources. The Shruti Prasthana, which is something that you hear. Since the rishis, the seers, the ancient rishis, which were the seers who could see into the other worlds and could hear the divine Shruti is to hear. They wrote the Vedas, spoke the Vedas, and then they were written by Vedavyasa. They spoke the Upanishads, which were also written by Vedavyasa. So Upanishad is Shruti Prasthan, something that the rishis heard. Bhagavad Gita is Smriti Prasthan, something that you remember. So it was remembered and passed on from generation to generation. Smriti, the way of Smriti is to give you ethics and rules and that leads you to Brahman. Bhagavad Gita is a perfect example. It is an exemplar of the essence of the Vedas. Then the Brahma Sutra, which is also called Nyaya Prasthana. So Nyaya is, so the way of Brahma Sutra is through mm, logic. That's it. Logic. It gives evidence and proves how Brahman exists and how I am Brahman and all of that through uh, debate and uh, logic. Yeah, that is Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra has uh, 555 aphorisms or sutras. Okay. Brahma Sutra Bhashya is also the foundation of Advaita. So Adi Shankaracharya wrote uh, Bhashya, a commentary on Brahma Sutra, which laid the foundation for Advaita Vedanta. He also composed many stotras, devotional hymns, uh, including Bhaja Govindam, Nirvāṇaṣatakam, and more, many more. Nirvāṇaṣatakam, I've told you. Bhaja Govindam is another beautiful, beautiful composition, hymn. And one of the verses I've put towards, I don't know, at the end, in the last slide. You should totally listen to Bhaja Govindam along with the meanings in English. And then he revived Vedanta. Now, this is a wonderful story from his life. There was a debate that lasted for 42 days. He was in a debate with a guy called Mandan Mishra, who was a great ritualist of that time and a Purva Mimamsa scholar. So, modern day Mimamsa. That day, Purva Mimamsa scholar, and again a ritualist, Karmakandi. And he was a legend. But our Adi Shankaracharya was a bigger one. So, of course, the debate lasted 42 days. And of course, Adi Shankaracharya defeated him. But then his wife came in and she said that I am the better half of him, right? So you should also debate me. So Adi Shankaracharya was okay. Let's do it. And she was very clever because you see, Adi Shankaracharya was a renunciate, a sannyasi. And according to the codes of being a sannyasi, you have to be a brahmachari, which is a celibate. So she started to ask him questions about sex and sexuality, which Shankara obviously did not know because she was going deep into it. So Shankaracharya asked for a week's break, and he said, I'll come back. Then he went to a cave and meditated. Adi Shankaracharya was such a great yogi. He could leave his own body through yogic practices and enter into another man's body. This is very much possible according to the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This entire procedure, this superpower is described in one of the sutras of Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, uh, in the third path, which is the Vibhuti path that talks about superpowers. Right. So he enters the body of a king who just dies from a snake bite. So he's freshly dead. He enters his body and he accesses uh, his memories and his experience, his directory of experiences and memories, and he finds out those finds out the answers of the questions that Mandan Mishra's wife asked him about sex, right? And he returns and he has all the answers and he's still a celibate. And this was a legendary debate. Of course, this is just a very, this is what I have put is not justified to how beautiful the debate was. This is just the tip of the surface that I've scratched. I have not even scratched anything. I've just told you that there was a debate like this to exist. Now, this is another beautiful story from Adi Shankaracharya's life. Uh, so, Adi Shankaracharya was, as I told you, was from a Brahmin family. Brahmin is a priest class, and there is no hierarchy for those who understand these classes, these caste system, this Varna system. There is no hierarchy really. Varnas are according to your karmas, on your actions. So if you're a warrior, you're serving your country, then you're a Kshatriya. But if someday you want to not fight anymore, go become a philosopher, then you become a Brahmin. It is easy, right? It is easy to uh, shift between these varnas. So it is not assigned to you by birth or permanently. But at that time, Adi Shankaracharya's time, casteism was very wrongly understood, was misunderstood. And Adi Shankaracharya was a victim of this wrong knowledge. So one day there was a lower caste guy called Chandal. Chandal is somebody who was an outcast. Chandal is outcast. He was an untouchable. This story is from Varanasi. So this guy steps out of a temple in Varanasi. He's an untouchable. And Adi Shankaracharya sees him walking out, which is considered a bad omen for a Brahmin. And this guy, looking like this, an outcast, has 4 big black dogs, comes in front of Adi Shankaracharya, and Adi Shankaracharya tells him to step away. He says, "Oh, outcast, step away and let me pass." Right. This is the representation of that. This is Adi Shankaracharya with his disciples. This is the outcast. These are the 4 dogs. And then the Chandal, the outcast, replies to Adi Shankaracharya, "Who are you asking to step aside? Me or my body?" Now, Adi Shankaracharya, being an Atmanyani, somebody who knows the self, somebody who's perfected, was profoundly shook so much that he falls down to his feet, the Chandala's feet, and says, "You are my guru. Be it a Chandal or be it the Brahman, be it Chandal or be it anybody who teaches me about the knowledge of Brahman is my guru." So he realized his mistake, right? And he fell into his feet, Chandala's feet, and said, "You are my guru." And then the Chandal, the outcast, the lower caste guy with these dogs, revealed himself as Lord Shiva. This guy turned out to be Lord Shiva, who came there just for Adi Shankaracharya to give him a reminder. And now Adi Shankaracharya is perfected. Now he's locked himself in the state of perfect knowledge. And these 4 dogs are revealed as 4 Vedas. This is just a representation, right? These 4 dogs were the 4 Vedas. And after this incident, Adi Shankaracharya never gave any, according to one belief, according to one variation of the legend, he never ever gave any more teachings because he was so profoundly shook. His innermost self was shaken that he stopped giving any more sermons or whatever. And then he moved to the Himalayas and vanished. Some say that he was poisoned by the ritualists. Some say that he just died mysteriously at the age of 32. because there's another legend that says his parents did not have any child. They were not able to conceive a child. And they prayed to Shiva. There's two stories again that they prayed to Shiva, and the other story said that they prayed to the Divine Mother. So, but both stories say that God, Shiva or Durga, the Divine Mother, either of them, appeared in the dreams of the parents and asked that, do you want a child who has a long life but is mediocre, or somebody who has a short life but is a legend? So the parents replied, they want somebody who has a short life but turns out to be a legend. And then Adi Shankaracharya is born. This is how the legend goes. But there is one belief that I like to believe in, that Adi Shankaracharya, in fact, one of the stories say that he vomited puke blood because he was uh, poisoned. But I choose to not believe in that. Like, it is up to you what you want to believe in, if he died or just vanished. Right. Now, for the final slide, I've put in a verse of Bhaja Govindam, which is another hymn by Adi Shankaracharya. Bhaja Govindam, verse number 21. Punarapi jananam punarapi maranam. For somebody who knows Hindi, this is obvious to understand. Again birth, again death, again lying in the mother's womb. This cycle of samsara is so hard to cross. Oh Murari. Murari is another name for Vishnu or Krishna, who is a manifestation of Vishnu. Oh Murari, take me across with your grace. And then he chants Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. Chant Govindam, chant Govindam. Govindam is again Krishna or Vishnu. Thank you very much. This was it. A very happy Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti to you.